It is an annual August tradition where Howie Roseman will trade for a player, usually a player that has some pedigree. And yesterday, no different. The Eagles swung a trade yesterday to land John Metchie, former Alabama wide receiver, who was a second-round pick of the Texans a few years ago. Now, if you don't know his story, he missed his first year in the NFL. He was diagnosed with leukemia. He's back. He's playing now, which is obviously great. But the trade
had a pretty decent season last year.
Decent year, and it was his first year back. Right? I wasn't surprised. It's probably taken him a little bit to get his legs back under him and be an NFL player. But he had pedigree coming out of college. I mean, he was Devontae Smith's teammate. But it struck me yesterday, now that the Eagles made a trade, I think if you were to say to someone, the Eagles are going to make another trade before the season started, people would say, of course, they could use a safety, they could use another corner, they could use an edge, right? They could use all these things, maybe a guard and their offensive line because Dickerson is down.
Or safety.
I did not have wide receiver on my board. I mean, we had the pregame show on Saturday before the game.
Yeah, we were talking about how well the young Thundercats was coming up.
We were saying
Coop and the Bartle State,
Tarleton State, yes, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
We were saying it's as deep of a wide receiver room as the Eagles have had in years. And then they go out and trade for another wide receiver. So they swap late-round picks. Harrison Bryant, the tight end, goes back to Houston. Metchie comes here. Hugh, your initial reaction yesterday when the Eagles traded for John Metchie?
Well, Joe, my initial reaction was that the Eagles are really, a good football team. And no, that wasn't my original reaction, Joe. I was trying to pretend. You know what my original reaction was?
What baloney did you to spin today?
Defense is a luxury, not a necessity. What have we been talking about for the last couple of weeks? We've been talking about the play at the corner spot. But we go out, we trade for a corner. We don't know if he's going to play or not, but then we go out and trade a receiver. This is why y'all need to start listening to me, because I know what I'm talking about. We got all these troubles and question marks on the defensive side of the ball, and we go get a receiver, and y'all treat me like I'm crazy?
Well, you are.
Y'all treat me like I'm crazy?
Yes.
Y'all made me dye my beard green talking about my defense was a terrible take, and the Eagles go out and get another receiver.
They had the number one defense in the NFL.
And get another receiver.
Hugh, they traded an offensive player away.
Well, what did we just say we needed last week? What did we say we needed last week?
They still do need it.
And we went out and got a receiver.
Okay.
Y'all need to apologize to me right now.
No one's apologizing.
I need an apology.
You need to apologize for being so loud. We're out in public.
Yeah, at a golf course. And everybody's looking at me like I done lost my mind.
No one yells this loud at a golf course.
I felt passionate about the way that I felt.
You could. I mean,
I was right though. By the way,
wrong and passionate. That sums up WIP perfectly.
I was right.
Okay.
I wasn't. You know what's funny? And if the people are being honest, please chime in. When they traded for a receiver, I had to be the first person to come to mind because you thought I was
the first person to come to mind.
The second.
No, well,
maybe the third.
For my purposes, second or third, because I knew I'd have to deal with this. So I had a different feeling.
But that's because of what they did.
All right, can I tell you what I thought?
What you think?
My thought. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been fully embarrassed myself, and now everybody's looking at me crazy.
So I have been trying to spin the positive for an hour and 5 minutes. I'm done with that. You know what I thought yesterday when the trade went down?
What you thought?
I wonder if A.J. Brown's hamstring is worse than we thought.
That was a thought.
Yeah, so the Eagles have downplayed the A.J. Brown thing for the better part of 2 weeks. He hasn't practiced much. We're at the outing today, the golf outing, so we're not at practice. But I did see a video where it looked like he wasn't in uniform.
I think he was dapping up the fans.
Yeah, he's
or whatever.
hanging out. So listen, we'll get a full report if he was practicing it. But what I saw, it seemed like he was not again today. Hugh, that's what this strikes me as. They're adding more depth to the wide receiver room. And let's also think about A.J. Brown in general. Look at last year. He missed, 3 games with the hamstring early in the season. And then he told a story recently on a podcast that he had to have his knee drained twice during the Super Bowl week. We remember that Super Bowl run. He didn't do much. He couldn't run. His knee was obviously bothering him. And he's a great player. A.J. Brown is a great football player. But I have some concern that his body's starting to break down a little bit. I wonder if they have some concern. And now they're adding to the wide receiver room with a guy that was at one point a pretty high pick, has obviously ties to a lot of these guys here with the Alabama connection, and they didn't give up much. So, look, I'm good with the trade, but I'm just trying to understand why, because they don't seem like they need a wide receiver right now. That strikes me. There also could be more to come here. I mean, maybe they're going to make another move that we don't see coming, and they're going to use a guy like Dotson in a trade. I don't know. I don't know why they traded for John Metchie. It does seem to me like they're creating what was a weakness last year, which was the depth at wide receiver. It's now a tremendous strength. I mean, 3 and 4 on their depth chart are Dotson and Metchie. And then maybe a Darius Cooper or Johnny Wilson's 5 and 6. What is
None.
Defense still is more.
I ain't said nothing. I just like how you workshop your way through it. Like you sat there.
I told you. I'm worried that AJ's hurt more than they say.
Yeah, I like how you workshopped your way through it, Joe. And you see, you don't want to admit it, but you see what you're picking up what I'm putting down.
I'm not. Kyle made the point they traded an offensive player for an offensive player, so that doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
2, they also traded for a corner 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right? They traded for Bennett. I mean, so they tried to address that to some extent.
Yeah, and Joe and I weren't like, who defense?
Why I gotta sound like that? Why my tongue gotta be so thick when you make fun of me?
That's your own problem.
I can't even. All I'm saying is, we traded for a corner. We still have questions at corner. So much so that there's reports that Cooper DeJean is about to play corner, right?
Outside today, he's practicing outside corner today at practice. Yeah,
but we went out to get a receiver.
Look, but they could be cook.
Let him cook.
They are separate things. There's also a chance that this is just a very small move that we're going to make a big deal out of because it's just.
What do we do? We make a big deal out of everything.
No, I mean is this. Harrison Bryant was probably getting cut here. Metchie might have been getting cut in Houston, and we're just swapping him and see if it works out for each side. Look, I have no problem with the deal. Harrison Bryant didn't mean anything to me. He's just a backup tight end. Metchie has some pedigree, Alabama kid, played well in college. I think it's actually a really interesting deal. But my big takeaway is I need to see A.J. Brown back on the practice field so I could stop worrying that he's more hurt than we think he is. Kyle, what'd you take away other than Hugh's nonsense from the trade yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, Hugh's nonsense didn't even cross my mind until he brought it up. And then I was like,
and you knew he was going to, too.
Trying to shoehorn the stupid defense luxury crap into this because they traded for like a 4th wide receiver. I mean, that's
cook.
A joke.
Nope. Let him cook.
Cut his mic.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I thought kind of the same thing as you did. I said, does this mean that A.J. Brown's a little more injured than they let on? But I'm not sure. Like, I feel like the corresponding move to that might be a little bit bigger than it would be had A.J. Brown been hurt. Like, John Metchie's not going to fill in the A.J. Brown role or I guess it would be Devontae in A.J.'s spot and then Jahan Dotson.
Right.
And
so
John Metchie.
Metchie would be in for Dotson.
Yeah, they're still screwed. I don't know. I think maybe it's just more of like a depth move for next season. Like, they're taking it. The trade itself was a guy who wasn't going to make our team for a guy that wasn't going to make Houston's team. At the end of the day. So this could just be taking a flyer on a guy with some upside because Jahan Dotson's contract's up after this season. It could just really be as simple as that.
It could be. It's also, you mentioned a year from now, it could be a little reset because Dotson is a free agent after this year. They're not going to pay Dotson. They're not going to pay a third receiver. So maybe Metchie then kind of moves up the depth chart next year and he becomes that third guy the way Dotson is this year. It could also just be forward thinking by Howie. But again, I just need to see AJ in the field again, practicing in full. We are just a little over 2 weeks from the opener. So that's striking to me.